This system has actually been working out pretty good. We just come out and swap the buckets each day so they get fresh water, and you can see this base plate heater has actually been keeping things warm and water's coming out. So I've been liking this so far. Get their food filled up and swap water out. Well, the wood piles are starting to get thinned out a little bit here. Got 6 pallets worth of wood all missing here. We ended up having to help someone out this year. The wood piles are looking a little thin. I want to spend some time getting some wood cut. A lot of times people look at our wood piles like, man, that's so much wood, but I think a lot of people would be very surprised on how much wood you actually use a winter. Obviously, the more efficient your stove is, the less wood, but you do still burn quite a bit of wood here. We a lot of times will try to keep a 3-year supply for a couple of reasons. One, we know that wood has plenty of time to dry. We also, if we ever fell on hard times, we could always sell some of it, or in this case, this year, we end up having to help someone else out. So we're lucky enough to have enough wood set aside where we can do something like that. And then if you ever like have something happen to you, actually right when I had started this channel, right before, I had lost vision in my eye for, I don't know, it was 6 or 8 months or something on one side. I wasn't able to go out and cut for that period of time. And if we didn't have a big bulk supply of wood, it would definitely have made things a lot harder. Having a decent supply of wood is definitely a plus. It's not the easiest thing to get to. I feel so overwhelmed right now. I feel like I got a lot of wood to get put up. I've been slowly starting to work on getting some of these piles. You can definitely see the difference in the color of the newer wood versus the old wood. It's just kind of just slowly working away at it. So that's what I'm gonna do. We'll go out and spend a little time today getting a little bit of wood cut and put up, and we'll just kind of whittle away at it. I mean, one way to get ahead, I know it's not the easiest thing, is just put a little extra aside every year, and it just continues to add up. So I'm trying out a little different pair of gloves here. These are supposed to be waterproof, and working on a day like this with the snow, they should work pretty good. You know, they get a little wet and stuff. A lot of times I use these Carhartt gloves, and they hold up pretty well, but when they get wet, they tend to wear a little bit faster, and I always seem to wear out the fingers. I don't have a ton of miles on these yet, but so far I've been liking these quite a bit. I'm gonna be cutting in an area that isn't really where I can just pull right on up. I have to haul the wood out of the woods. And with the snow here on the ground, I think I'll just grab a sled so it'll be easy to just slide that stuff out of there. I thought I would point something out. I know there's people with all different skill sets that watch this channel, and anyone that claims to know everything about safety when it comes time to deal with chainsaws don't know what they're talking about, because things can go south really fast. And sometimes there's no second chance or options to learn from your mistakes, because that could be your last one. We had a neighbor that actually lived out here, logged for 30+ years, and went out one fall to cut firewood and never came home. It's a pretty risky thing, so you always gotta be on your toes. And I thought I would point out a couple things here that I'm dealing with, and just, I guess, point them out. You can see this very first tree here. When those trees all got blown over by the wind, they put tension on there, so it very well could be a big spring. Go in here, you start cutting some of the weight off. This thing could go whipping back, hit you, or potentially hit your saw back at you, or even throw some stuff. So as I've been coming in here, I've been having to really take my time, do some relief cuts, try to get some of the weight off while I'm making myself in a safe position. But you can see I've gotten to the point now where this has been sitting here so long that there isn't any tension, which is good. However, I got another tree here I'm still working through. I don't think there's really any tension left on this one here, but I've still got to come in here with a little bit of precaution. The other big things, when especially dealing with these rat nest type things like this, or you come in and you get some logs dropped off and you're cutting, a lot of the chainsaw injuries actually happen with kickback, and a lot of that has to do with the nose of your saw. This top little part here coming in contact with things can make the saw jump back at you. If you Google chainsaw injuries, it's not a pretty sight. And when you're cutting in areas like that, especially like coming in, making your cut here, potentially bumping the nose of your saw up against that, you really got to be paying attention. So I've been making some of these cuts, and as they're getting smaller like this, I've been trying to get some of these branches pulled out of here and then paying really close attention to my nose. I guess one other thing I should point out in this work area is this. This is, well, a nightmare. You kind of call this a widowmaker, I guess. Looking at the base of what this is resting up against, you can see a woodpecker's been working at it, so that means bugs been in there, which means this has been rotting away. You can see the bark starting to come off. You can see sort of a fungus up there, so this is probably not the most secure thing. And a little bit of vibration can send this thing breaking and coming down. So this is definitely a little bit more of a risky area to be paying close attention to, I guess. So I just wanted to point a couple of these things out. You always gotta be on your toes, and these are just a couple things to look out for. Let the check, see what we got on here.